Hi, I'm Eric Marchin, host of Cinema Scene on Rogers TV and the Untitled Movie Podcast. Alex, Archie, Théodore, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about Lurker. Alex, the first question I have is for you. The film has such a visually striking contrast to the modern day LA set area that is both seedy and alluring. How early on in the production process were you thinking about that textured look? And did Pat Scola's cinematography influence how you depicted modern technology and social media to be displayed?
Yeah, I mean, me and Pat, we wanted to shoot on 16 in theory, and it was something that was going to cost more money. And I couldn't personally make a case for it because I didn't know what I was talking about, but I just really didn't want to upset Pat. So I was like, yeah, we're shooting it on film, and like the producers like need to listen to us. Like I couldn't alienate my DP before we even started shooting because I knew he was going to just be running the show. So I stood by him in that, and we kind of we got it over the line. And like our theory was like we just wanted it to feel like not a hyper digital story, right? That's already in the story itself. So what can we do on the filmmaking side to make it feel more sort of evergreen?
Archie and Tador, were you more self-aware with how you approached using technology in the film, or even just like simple things like an iPhone? Because the way that Matthew looks at his screen, lighting up with all of these Instagram follows, there's an authenticity to how, performances interact with technology that a lot of modern moviegoers can really pick up on. And was that relationship as well, with Pat Scola something that you were considering because you were making a faux documentary within the film?
We definitely, I guess, had a relationship to less so, I would say, our phones, more so the video camera and the idea of like being perceived through a lens in that way consciously on film, and like the way that you want to be perceived through a lens, the way that it was maybe going to be uploaded to social media. But I also think we ourselves have such an understanding of what that as actors have an understanding of what that feels like. And so for me anyway, playing an artist, playing Oliver, I was very conscious of the way that Oliver responded when the camera came out, or the way that he acted to the camera. But I don't think that I was thinking about my relationship to like technology in terms of phones and things like that. I think that that stuff was just unconscious, and that stuff was just, I don't know. I think it's just so embedded into us every day now that I don't know. That just felt very, very real. I don't know.
It also become like it's always kind of a very technical little thing to do when you're on set and you have to play with a phone, or like you filming a phone and then you're kind of reacting to a phone. It's never, you're just kind of like going through the motions a little bit, right?
Mm,
I don't know, it's like doing a sex scene sometimes is so very clear what you're doing.
yeah.
Yeah, well, another thing, Taylor, that you mentioned in past interviews is that Alex's script was clear and tangible in a way that, sometimes you can't predict how a movie is going to end up until you get to post-production or even watching the movie. And I wanted to ask all three of you, does having that 2-minute proof of concept showing the cast and crew help to convey the tone and genre as much as the script?
The proof of concept. You know about that?
Yes, yeah. Well, through interviews, you were talking about it before. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, wait, what was the question?
I think I'm
So I wanted to know if the proof of concept itself helps to kind of indicate the tone and the style that you're going for as much as the script, because I find that some filmmakers will also use references to other films in order for people to understand, like what you're talking about because it hasn't been created yet.
Well, what I can say to that is that Alex hadn't directed anything before. And so for me to see what he did in those 2 minutes was like, okay, he's actually great. And he's not only a great writer, but he's able, like really able to apply, the writing to to images. And it was just a kind of a confirmation of how exciting this movie was and what it could be.
And same for me. I came into the process later. They'd already shot that, And so I got the script and that proof of concept together. And I read the script and then I watched it. And I obviously had an image in my mind of the way I saw the film. And it really aligned with what they had made. I thought it was so impressive that Alex was able to do that with really no money. And it is validating or for Alex to be like, okay, he's never done this before, but he can do it and he knows what he's doing. And so you kind of go in with full confidence. That's how I felt.
I don't think it would have gotten made without that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you never think about until, like yourself talking about, those aspects of it. Alex, you've talked about developing this during COVID and that it started with one scene in particular and then you expanded on it and you said that you had this sick feeling in the pit of your stomach while you were writing it. Is there a part of the process where you were thinking that this was always going to be your directorial debut, your feature directorial debut, or is it something that you kind of came to that conclusion when you finished writing the script? Because you obviously have this esteemed and acclaimed television background. You've also directed a music video. So what was the sort of genesis of making this into your feature debut?
Well, there were several years between the writing of it and the directing of it, and my ambitions had changed a lot during that time. Like when I wrote it, the bar was just, can I write something longer than I usually do? And that was the goal. I think that's actually what allowed me to finish it, was like the stakes were very low. I definitely wasn't thinking I would direct it or anyone would at the time until it was done. And then I was like, oh, maybe this is something. And then I sort of like had an agent for the first time. And yeah, it wasn't until people started to tell me that I could direct it that it became stuck in my mind. But I'm glad I did. I think it's good that, a great test of your own growth as a writer is, do you still like this thing that you wrote 6 months ago? Normally you don't, because you've grown so much in that time. But the fact that I still actually wanted this movie to be made a few years after writing it, and I wasn't like, oh, I hate this now, I think it was a good sign. And I'm glad I did it.
Do you still feel the same way about Lurker now that having, watched the movie with festival audiences and having even conversations like this, do you look at the film any differently from, when you were first developing, and are you still, happy with the movie that you made and still have that connection to it?
I'm very happy with it, and I think that sort of private happiness I have about it, that I just like it, is what would have fortified me against everyone else hating it if that makes sense. But I think, if anything, I've been blown away by how much people are relating to and understanding what the movie's about. Like, even in everything I read, it's like, oh, wow, this person is articulating things that I was intending that I couldn't articulate. So it's very validating to see how much it's resonating with people.
Absolutely. Archie, can you discuss how your collaboration with Kenny Beats informed Oliver's music for the film? And did Alex's script provide any creative input for the style of the songs produced?
Yeah, well, I think it was so clear from the off, the world that the music was inhabiting, like the kind of artists that we were talking about. And Alex and I pretty quickly made a playlist. What kind of music would Oliver be making? Who are his contemporaries? Who are the people that he'd be listening to, working with? And then when Kenny and I got in the studio, I mean, I was just really thrown in the deep end. I remember like first day, kind of just sitting with Kenny, and he's like, okay, so what are we doing? And I was like, okay, well.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, well, maybe we have a song that sounds like this, like Dijon, the dress. He's like, oh, sick. Okay, I just wrote 10 songs for Dijon. Let's pull one of them and let's see which one you like. And, it was just very organic and collaborative, and finding things and finding his sound. And I had never done that before. And there was not a moment where Kenny kind of, treated me with kid gloves. He really just treated me like an artist coming into his studio. He wasn't like, hey, don't worry, like you're gonna get there. He was like, another one. Come on, let's do it. Like it really was. It was the quickest and best immersion into that character and that world that I could have possibly had. And when we found that music, not to speak for Teo, I think for all of us though, it really helped create that world. I know that, you know, I started listening to Oliver's music a lot, thinking about the world. I know that we then sent it to Teo, and Teo would sometimes listen to it like when in between takes and things. So it just helped cement that world and make it feel realer.
Absolutely. Well, I have to wrap with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I can't get Nile Rodgers out of my head. So thank you for that as well.
Yes, love song for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.